This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 402, The Twinkie Diet, a Mixed Bag, by Deen of JCD and I'm Dr. Neil. Welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, or welcome for the first time if you're new here. This is the podcast where I act as your very own personal narrator and read to you from some of the most popular health and fitness blogs online, including Ben Greenfield Fitness, Nia Shanks, and today's author, Deen of JCD Fitness. Now, JC just started his own podcast too. It's called the Fit Smart Podcast, and he teamed up with Roger Lawson, so they host it together. You can find that in the podcast app of your choice. Now, before we get to the post, don't forget, we give away a book to a random person on our mailing list on the first of every month, which, if you can believe it, is just 2 days. So, if you want to be in the drawing, make sure you're on our mailing list at oldpodcast.com. Now, I'll give you another quick reminder at the end of the show. So for now, I'm sure you're excited to hear today's post as we optimize your life. The Twinkie Diet, a Mixed Bag, by Deen of JCDFitness.com. The truth is out. No longer do we have to worry about food choices when dieting. It turns out the old law of thermodynamics still applies, even though we often believe ourselves to be an exception. Thusly, as a result of the Twinkie diet performed by Mark Haub, a professor at Kansas State University, perhaps clean eating really is a scam. Regardless of how you feel about clean eating or whatnot, it's evident that many fitness and nutrition zealots are slightly confused, and some are slightly disgruntled. What I love so dearly about this mini-study is that Mark is an educated professional. He's a professor of human nutrition, and for the most part, it goes against all bro logic we're exposed to on a daily basis. Ask anyone in your local gym if a diet full of junk food could result in fat loss, and most all will tell you that you can never rid yourself of adiposity by eating Twinkies, and all the sugar will wreak havoc on your insulin levels. But here's the funny thing. Hardly anyone is willing to test the waters. We're all familiar with beliefs and how powerful they can be, especially when our emotions are involved. And this is why many are unable to make objective decisions when it comes to their weightlifting routines and fat loss diets. It seems we get so locked in on what's been shoved into our brains through media and marketing that we forget about what's true and what's not. Advertising has us chasing goals that are unrealistic and forcing our expectations to the outer edge of possibility. But such is life. Why is this so important? As I stated earlier, most fitness professionals or gurus are going to tell you that junk food is bad and clean food is good. But there's a lot more behind the blanket statement than one might realize. No food is inherently bad or good. It's all about context and reasoning. Mark did something different though. He went against dogma. He actually lost weight, about 27 pounds, and improved his health markers on nothing but junk food, a serving of veggies, and a protein shake daily. But what was his main determinant for success? Negative calorie balance. Just take a look at intermittent fasting or meal frequency. Both of those topics are still very touchy for most fitness enthusiasts who are, quote, in the know. But through current research and a few select pioneers in the field, lives are changing slowly but surely. Back to the media BS. I love and hate this story for multiple reasons, but I suppose the main one is due to the media. Do a quick Google search on Twinkie diet, and you'll get a ton of hits from major news sources shelling out the details. I love the fact that information like this is going mainstream, because it's exposing some major myths that have been held so strongly in our industry for far too long. But then I hate it at the same time, because I know how people are in general. Many will take it out of context and use it as an excuse to let their diets go even further down the river. It's all about context. One major issue with this type of press is while his health markers improved during this short-term experiment, we have no way of knowing what a lifelong habit of Twinkies and ding-dongs could do to a person. My hunch tells me that it would eventually catch up and wreak havoc on their health, even if they managed their intake at maintenance levels to prevent weight gain. But again, we can never really know until studies have been performed, and I'm not about to fund them. Another aspect that scares me is how we perceive his actual experiment. What did he really do? For the majority, counting calories and managing their intake is a foreign concept. Outside of the fitness-obsessed, very few people are aware of calorie balance or portion control. Don't believe me? Fine. Just walk into your local supermarket and tally how many obese individuals you come across. I think you'll be in agreement with me after that. So what happens for the most part when you combine our immobile lifestyle with a haphazard intake of calorie-dense frankenfood? Well, a bunch of overweight, unhealthy folks driving up healthcare costs. Let's take it out of context. When this story was becoming popular, I was notified of a thread on the low-carb forums. And here is a typical response of someone who starts rattling off their assumptions without really knowing anything about the professor or the minute details of the experiment. Quote, before his Twinkie diet, he tried to eat a healthy diet that included whole grains, dietary fiber, berries and bananas, vegetables, and occasional treats like pizza. This is why it worked. He's grain sensitive. When I was transitioning to finding a diet that made me feel a whole lot better, I switched to white bread and white rice. All the protein and fiber in the whole grains was exceedingly inflammatory for me. Even now, I can eat all the sugar I want and feel great and lose weight, but give me a whole wheat cracker and I'm toast. Those Little Debbies probably fueled him better than any whole grain bread he ever ate. If it was the end of the world and I was stuck on an island with either Little Debbies or Ezekiel bread, I would choose the Little Debbies. End quote. First of all, there is no way she can know for certain if the professor is indeed grain sensitive or whatever she is stating. Secondly, she is comparing herself and her issues to someone else, assuming they share similar sensitivities. One issue we run into with many of these boards is we often have a ton of zealots who are sold on an idea or way of thinking without much reason to back it up. Go look at gluten-free boards, and they swear up and down that every product containing gluten is killing the entire human race, whether or not they have symptoms. Go to a dairy bashing board and you'll learn that everyone who drinks milk is under the hypnotic power of the reptilian gods who are taking over our planet. Okay, so that last jab was a bit satirical, but hopefully you get my point. It's the faulty belief theory. Hear something enough and it becomes true, whether it really is or not. But such is the war on thermodynamics and other dogmas within the fitness industry. I'm not in the business of converting zealots. I'm in the business of interacting with those who are open, those who are willing to think differently and independently. Closing thoughts. I'd never ever advocate for a diet full of junk food. It's impractical, unhealthy, and not very satiating. As lacking in nutrients and to me just wouldn't be that satisfying. But it doesn't mean I won't have my fair share of junk as I see fit. I balance it out with lots of lean meat, green veggies, and more peanut butter covered bananas you could ever imagine. Essentially, like many who sent me hate mail for my clean eating series, I think those caught up on this Twinkie diet bashing are just lacking in reading skills. No one ever said a diet had to be full of junk food. This was just an experiment, and an interesting one indeed. You just listened to the post titled, The Twinkie Diet, A Mixed Bag, by JC Deen of JCDFitness.com. This post actually relates to last week's Q&A. A caller asked me whether starving themselves would lead to more fat gain, and I said really what it comes down to is if you want to lose fat, if you're going to gain fat, it's calories in and calories out. And that was essentially JC's point. If you eat Twinkies all day, but you still have a caloric deficit, meaning you're not eating a whole lot of calories each day like you used to, even if your diet is full of simple sugars like Twinkies, you will lose weight. And it's because of the calories. What's fascinating about weight loss is how far the benefits can spread, meaning when you start to lose weight, especially if you're carrying a little extra weight, your cells start to respond really, really well and quite quickly. So if you lose, let's say 5 or 10 pounds of your body weight, your cells might start to behave better. You might become less insulin resistant, or put another way, your body might start responding better to insulin. Your blood sugar levels will start to look better. Your cholesterol will start to dip. And that's not because necessarily of your diet, it's more of the effect of losing weight. But as JC mentioned, if you're eating a not so nutritious, balanced diet for weeks and months and years, you may have other chronic conditions pop up. So even though you lost the weight, you're going to see some benefits in the short term, but if your diet isn't balanced and you're not following other healthy lifestyle behaviors like exercising and managing your stress and all the stuff I've talked about on this show many times, your risk for chronic disease will still increase. So all we saw from this professor's experiment was what happened in the short term. If he were to continue eating Twinkies, he could probably still lose weight, but his risk for disease will start to climb up again. Now, like I promised, I want to remind you we do book giveaways on the first of every month to random people on our mailing list. So if you want to be a part of that, and get some free spreadsheet tools from us and lots more, come by oldpodcast.com and join the weekly newsletter. It's totally free, and it's a great way to show your support. And make sure you join by tomorrow to be in February's raffle. Again, join at oldpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I'll be back here tomorrow with a post from regular contributor Zen Habits, so I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this show and Optimal Living Daily, the brother podcast of this one. Literally, I'm Dr. Neil's brother. If you like the format of this show, you'll love Optimal Living Daily too, where I also read to you from blogs, but cover other topics like personal development, finance, and minimalism from bloggers like Derek Sivers, The Minimalists, Zen Habits, and many more. So for more amazing content read to you for free, come subscribe to Optimal Living Daily too, and together we'll optimize your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Health Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's oldpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.